Well, folks, Colin Allred absolutely laid the smackdown on Ted Cruz during their debate. If you guys haven't caught any of this, go out of your way to find it. If there were ever to be a book written called How to Defeat Ted Cruz in a Debate, Colin Allred would write the book on that one. It was absolutely spectacular. For those of you who aren't familiar with Colin Allred, he is a congressman out of Texas, but before that, he was a star player at Baylor on the football team. He went on to play for the Tennessee Titans. Then he got a law degree. Then he became a congressman. Now he's running against Ted Cruz. And man, did he really bring it to him. This is the very kind of energy that we need. This is how you take it to these MAGA politicians. Folks, it's time we just take the gloves off. We've been nice for too long. We've tried to abide by the when they go low, we go high mentality. And no disrespect to Michelle Obama. I love Michelle Obama. I think she's one of the greatest voices. But even she realizes now that there is a time that you just have to get in the mud and go at it with these people. And that is exactly what Colin Allred did. I'm going to show you this clip right here because you got to bring it home. You know, when you're debating someone like this, you have to go ahead. And here I go with one of my boxing analogies. But when you get someone on the hook, you knock them out. And he gets him on the hook and knocks him out in this next clip. Take a look.
Time. Congressman, 90 seconds for a response.
Well, listen, it's time to finally tell the truth here. Senator Cruz just looked into a camera and lied to Texans about my position. Let's be very clear. You should look into the camera and speak to Kate Cox, who's watching right now, and explain to her why you said that this law that you said is perfectly reasonable, why she was forced to leave her 2 children behind and flee our state to get the care that she needed. Or look into the camera and talk to Amanda Zarowski, who's watching right now, and explain to her why it's perfectly reasonable that because she had a complication in her pregnancy and was denied care so long that she may never be able to have children of her own. Or to the 26,000 Texas women who've been forced to give birth to their rapist child under this law that you called perfectly reasonable. It's not. This is not freedom. I trust Texas women to make their own health care decisions. You know, Allie and I have had 2 baby boys here in Dallas in the last 5 years. You're scared the entire time. You don't know what they're going to say. But I can't imagine if the doctor would come in, said there's a problem with the baby or a problem with Allie, but there's nothing I can do because Ted Cruz thinks he knows better. That's not who we are as Texans. When I'm in the United States Senate, we'll restore a woman's right to choose. We'll make Roe v. Wade the law of the land again. And we'll make these stories of seeing these horrific experiences going on all over our state something of the past. That's my commitment to Texans.
That is exactly how you take it to someone like a Ted Cruz. You say to him, look into the camera and tell the women whose lives you've ruined, you tell them about it. That's the way you have to go at someone like Ted Cruz. People like Ted Cruz has been a spineless bully his entire career. He's one of those people who he sat back and he let Trump mock his entire family, mock his wife, and then has no spine whatsoever, goes out there and just bows to Trump, but then tries to be a bully at the same time. There's nothing worse than a spineless bully. You know, I've seen bullies in my lifetime who wouldn't back down. I've seen bullies in my lifetime who stood their ground and wouldn't back down. Even when someone did come back at them, they still, stood strong in being a bully. Ted Cruz don't even have that ability. And he just stands there whipped and he's looking at him realizing, you can see it. I can sense it. He's looking at that like, yep, I'm really getting my ass handed to me. And how do I get away from it? Well, you don't. And something else you don't do is sit here and talk about how you're for law enforcement, but at the same time you were for the mob on January 6th. And when Colin Allred brought these receipts, yeah, I think Ted Cruz may be in trouble in Texas. Take a look.
I have to say, you can't be for the mob on January 6th and for the officers. You can't. And it's not funny because you're a threat to democracy. Sure. I was on the House floor when we went through the votes. I remember when you objected to the results in Arizona. Y'all at home might remember where you were on January 6th, what you were doing. I know where I was, and I know where he was. I remember when they told us to reach under our seats for these gas masks. I didn't know we had, because they had deployed tear gas in the rotunda. The officers locked all the doors. We barred the doors the president walks through to deliver the State of the Union with furniture that we usually use to hold paper. And I texted my wife, Allie, who was 7 months pregnant with our son, Cameron, and at home with our son, Jordan, who wasn't yet 2. Whatever happens, I love you. I took off my suit jacket, and I was prepared to defend the House floor from the mob. At the same time, after he'd gone around the country lying about the election, after he'd been the architect of the attempt to overthrow that election. When that mob came, Senator Cruz was hiding in a supply closet. And that's okay. I don't want him to get hurt by the mob. I really don't. This election is his accountability. You cannot just be patriotic when your side wins. If for the first time in 250 years, this project of ours, this shared American project, that we did not have a peaceful transfer of power, the folks responsible have to be held accountable. That's why Liz Cheney has endorsed me, has got involved in this campaign, and is saying to Texans everywhere, do not put Ted Cruz back in a position of authority, because he's done it once, he'll do it again.
Did you notice how that Ted Cruz stopped laughing when he said it ain't funny? Did you notice how that from that point on, he's just looking straight ahead at him? And what can you say at that point? You just got told, hey, guess what, buddy? This isn't funny. Don't be laughing at this. And he literally stopped. The bully stopped dead in his tracks and realized, you know what? It ain't funny. You know, somewhere deep down underneath Ted Cruz's bully persona and his spineless bully persona, somewhere there has to be a part of him that knows everything Colin Allred is saying right there is the truth. I really believe that deep down, a lot of these MAGA politicians truly know it. I believe they're just simply trying to cash in on this Trump grift as long as they can. And folks, once this is all over with, and I really hope that Ted Cruz loses his seat in the Senate, I would love to see that. Go to Colin Allred's website, donate if you can. Let's help him get him over the finish line. But I really believe that if someone like Ted Cruz gets sent packing and Trump gets sent packing, you're going to see a whole lot of them try to rebrand themselves and try to come off like they were never Trump guys. And you'll probably hear Vance bring that quote back. I was never really a Trump guy. No, they were, and they were in order to cash in on this grift. And by getting on that Trump train and by going along with all this extremism, all they did was ruin a lot of people's lives, and they helped take rights away from women. They helped drive this country back 100 years. They should never be allowed off the hook. And when they try to rebrand, we should always be there bringing the receipts and saying, no, this is what you stood for. This is who you were. And if you want to start laughing, no, it's not funny. That's how we have got to handle these people. We've been nice for too long. We've been polite about it for too long, and the mainstream media can sit back all day long and yell at us and say that we need to turn down the temperature in the room. No, it was the likes of Ted Cruz. It was the likes of MAGA politicians who went along with Donald Trump and his bullshit, knowing it was bullshit. They went along with it anyway to stay in power and to keep their seats, and everyone deserved to lose their seats. They absolutely do, because they went along with stuff that I'm pretty sure deep down they knew was wrong. Deep down, they knew was a threat to democracy, but they did not care as long as it lined their pocketbooks. So when this is all over and they start trying to rebrand, I don't think we should let them off the hook. I don't think we should sit back and say that that everything is okay here, because it's not. We can't forget this moment in time, folks. Ever since Trump came down that escalator, we've had to live with this. We've had to deal with this. We've had to sit here and bring receipt after receipt after receipt and say, hey, look, this guy doesn't care about you. Hey, look at how far this guy's trying to drag this country backwards. Hey, look at just how extreme this guy has gotten. Look at what this guy has done. Look at the threat that he does pose to democracy. We've had to say that this entire time. So when Ted Cruz decides to rebrand himself and J.D. Vance and everybody starts trying to rebrand themselves and say, well, we never really liked Trump, too late. Too late. You don't get to say that now, because you went along with things that hurt women like Kate Cox. You went along with things that made a 28-year-old mother, Amber Thurman, lose her life. You went along with that type of rhetoric, that type of extreme rhetoric. And you think you have the right to make decisions for women. You don't. You never did. Ted Cruz, none of these MAGA politicians ever had the right. No one has the right to be in a woman's doctor's office making her decisions for her. That's on her. That's her decisions to make. That's between her and her doctor. None of these politicians should have ever had a say in it. They want to go around shouting, don't tread on me, but they're treading all over everybody. And when the dust settles from all of this, and they're forced to pick up the pieces and rebrand, I will be sitting right here in this chair saying, don't fall for it, don't listen to it. And we'll go back and remember when Colin Allred called him out to his face, and we'll say, that's how you do it. That's how you do it. You call them out to their face. If they try to laugh at you, try to be a bully, stop. It's not funny. We're tired of taking your bullshit. We're sick and tired of it. It's gotten so tiresome. And while you're over there rebranding, we're never going to let you off the hook. But while you're over there doing that, could you at least come up with some ideas that are in the 21st century? Could you at least come up with some ideas that people could get behind? And could you at least leave the extremism in the dust? Start right there. If you're going to rebrand, don't say anything to us. Just go over there and come up with ideas so good, ideas that aren't extreme, that when you say them to us, we go, wow, whoa, those are some good ideas. But even then, if they did, I wouldn't believe them. I wouldn't buy it. I would say, well, here they are. They're just trying to cash in on what they think is popular right now. That's the problem with people like Ted Cruz. That's the problem with J.D. Vance. They go whichever way the wind is blowing. So don't ever trust them. Don't ever have any faith in them. But yeah, if they want to rebrand, they should start with trying to come into this century and get away from the extremism. And at least try to be, we should have a healthy two-party system. We don't. We have one party that's on the rights of the American people and standing with women, and we have another very extreme group of people that's trying to drag us back to the 1700s, and we don't want to go. But folks, I appreciate you so much for hitting that subscribe button here on the channel. If you haven't already, be sure to do so. That way you're notified when I put out videos, and be sure to check us out over on Patreon. We've been putting out a lot of cool stuff over there. I really appreciate your guys' support, and I'm truly humbled to be part of this pro-democracy movement here at Midas Touch. There's so many great voices out there. I'm humbled to throw in my 2 cents, and I'm humbled that I have an audience that's willing to listen. I truly appreciate you guys so much for everything, and you guys have a great day.